The moving truck pulled away from the curb as Marcus Jackson, age 42, wiped sweat from his brow and surveyed his new property. The two-story colonial on Maple Street represented everything he'd worked for, a safe neighborhood with good schools for his children, Zara and Devin, ages 14 and 10. His wife, Tanya, stepped onto the porch, carrying a pitcher of lemonade. "What do you think?" she asked, handing him a glass. "Worth every penny of that down payment?" Marcus nodded, taking a long drink. "Every penny and every extra hour at the hospital." As the newest surgeon at Westside Medical Center, he'd earned this move to Oak Ridge, the most prestigious neighborhood in town. "How about we throw a barbecue this weekend?" Tanya suggested. "Meet the neighbors, show them we're friendly folks." "Perfect," Marcus agreed, though he couldn't help noticing how Mrs. Reynolds, their next-door neighbor, quickly pulled her curtains shut when he glanced her way. Earlier, while unloading boxes, he'd spotted 3 separate neighbors slowing their cars to stare at the family. One man had even circled the block twice. "Dad, come look," Devin called from the backyard. "There's a perfect spot for your grill." Marcus followed his son's voice, pushing aside the uncomfortable feeling settling in his stomach. They deserved to be here. They'd earned it. Yet the prickling sensation on the back of his neck told him not everyone in Oak Ridge would agree. "This weekend," he said, ruffling Devin's hair. "We'll show them what a Jackson family cookout is all about." 3 doors down, through partially opened blinds, Elaine Williams, known to many as Karen, watched the new family with narrowed eyes, her phone already in hand. Saturday arrived with perfect weather. Sunshine and a gentle breeze carried the mouth-watering aroma of Marcus's famous honey-glazed ribs across the neighborhood. Tanya had arranged platters of corn on the cob, coleslaw, and her grandmother's secret recipe potato salad on tables adorned with cheerful yellow cloths. "This looks amazing, honey," Marcus said, flipping burgers as Devin and Zara tossed a football in the yard. To their pleasant surprise, the Garcia family from across the street arrived first, bearing a homemade flan. Then came the Thompsons from 2 houses down with their twin daughters, followed by an elderly couple who introduced themselves as the Washingtons. "We've lived here 30 years, Mr. Washington said, shaking Marcus's hand firmly. "About time we got some new blood in this neighborhood." The mood lightened as music played softly. Children laughed. Conversation flowed. Marcus began to relax, until he noticed Elaine Williams standing at the edge of the property, phone pressed to her ear, glaring at the gathering point. 40 minutes later, 2 police cruisers pulled up, lights flashing. "What's going on?" Tanya whispered, instinctively moving toward their children. 3 officers approached, hands resting near their holsters. "We received a complaint about excessive noise and a possible unauthorized gathering," the lead officer, whose nameplate read Daniels, announced loudly. Marcus stepped forward. "This is my home, officers. We're having a small barbecue to meet our neighbors. We've had reports of trespassing and disturbance," Officer Daniels continued, eyeing the guests. "ID, please." Mr. Washington stepped forward. "This is ridiculous. We're guests here. Since when is a family cookout a crime?" From her front porch, Elaine Williams watched with folded arms, a satisfied expression on her face. "Sir, I'm going to need you to lower your voice," Officer Daniels said to Marcus, despite the fact he hadn't raised it. Zara, trembling slightly, had pulled out her phone and begun recording. "My daughter is recording this interaction for our safety," Tanya stated calmly, though her eyes flashed with anger. "We've broken no laws. This is private property, and these are invited guests." "The complaint says otherwise," a younger officer replied. "And who made this complaint?" Marcus asked, already knowing the answer. Officer Daniels glanced toward Elaine Williams's house. "That's confidential information, sir." Mr. Thompson stepped forward. "I'm an attorney with Blackwell and Moses. Unless you have a warrant or probable cause of an actual crime, I suggest you leave this family alone." The standoff stretched for tense minutes. Children huddled behind adults. The once joyful atmosphere had vanished. "We'll be monitoring the situation," Officer Daniels finally said, backing away. "Keep the noise down." As the police left, Zara stopped recording. Her hand shook. "Dad, I got it all. Everything." By Monday morning, Zara's video had amassed over 2 million views. #Oakridge Barbecue trended nationwide. Local news vans parked at the end of Maple Street. Marcus's phone rang constantly with interview requests. "This wasn't what I wanted," Marcus told Tanya as they sat at their kitchen table, cups of untouched coffee growing cold. "I just wanted a normal life for our family." "I know," Tanya replied, squeezing his hand. "But sometimes change demands attention." The doorbell rang. Outside stood Ms. Diane Foster, president of the Oakridge Homeowners Association, flanked by 5 neighbors, including Elaine Williams. "We want to discuss yesterday's unfortunate incident," Ms. Foster began stiffly. "Some residents feel you've brought unwanted attention to our community." Before Marcus could respond, Mr. Washington pushed through the small crowd. "Shame on you, Diane. The only unfortunate incident was Elaine calling the police on innocent people." The group erupted into argument. Accusations flew. Property values and neighborhood character were mentioned repeatedly. "Enough." Marcus's voice cut through the chaos. "This is still my property. Please leave." As the group dispersed, a silver sedan pulled into the driveway. A tall woman stepped out, introducing herself as Gabriela Reyes from Community Justice Now. "Your daughter's video exposed something happening in neighborhoods across America," she explained. "Our organization has been documenting similar incidents. Would you be willing to speak with us?" That evening, the Jacksons sat around their dining room table with Gabriela and her colleague, Terrell. Maps spread before them showed reported incidents of police calls on black families in predominantly white neighborhoods. "Oakridge has a pattern," Terrell pointed out, circling their area. "For families before you moved away within months." Later, after the visitors left, the Jacksons received a surprising knock. Mrs. Garcia stood at their door with 3 other neighbors. "We want you to know," she said firmly, "not everyone in Oakridge thinks like Elaine Williams. Some of us moved here for diversity, for our children to grow up in a better world than we did." As they left, Tanya turned to Marcus. "So what now?" Marcus stared thoughtfully through the window at their backyard. "Now? I think we need another barbecue." Over breakfast the next morning, Marcus outlined his vision to his family. "We won't be chased away. This is our home now." He tapped his fork against his plate for emphasis. "We're going to host the biggest, most welcoming neighborhood gathering Oakridge has ever seen." Zara grinned, her initial fear transforming into determination. "Can I help design the invitations?" "Absolutely," Tanya nodded, already making lists. "We'll need permits this time. Documents showing we have every right to gather." Marcus contacted Gabriela, who offered Community Justice Now's full support. They provided legal advisors to secure necessary permissions and media contacts to ensure coverage. The Washingtons rallied supportive neighbors, creating a planning committee. "We need to invite the police chief," Marcus suggested during their strategy session. "And city council members. Make this too public for anyone to shut down." They selected the upcoming Saturday, exactly 2 weeks after the first incident. Permits were filed. Formal invitations delivered to every home in Oakridge, including Elaine Williams's. The local newspaper received an exclusive press release. "What if she calls the police again?" Devin asked, helping his father clean the grill. Marcus ruffled his son's hair. "That's exactly what we're hoping for, buddy. But this time, we'll be more than ready." Saturday dawned bright and clear. By noon, the Jacksons' backyard and the adjacent community green space transformed into a festival of unity. Families streamed in, not just from Oakridge, but from surrounding neighborhoods. Tables groaned under potluck dishes representing dozens of cultural traditions. Children darted between games organized by volunteer teenagers. Community Justice now set up an information booth about housing rights. Marcus manned the massive grill, turning chicken and ribs with expert precision. "This is quite an event you've organized," came a voice beside him. Marcus turned to find Police Chief Rodriguez extending his hand. "Thank you for coming, Chief," Marcus replied, shaking it firmly. "What happened 2 weeks ago doesn't represent our department's values," the chief said. "I wanted to see for myself." Across the lawn, Tanya noticed Elaine Williams hovering at the edge of the gathering, cell phone clutched tightly. Before she could approach, Mrs. Garcia and several other neighbors surrounded Elaine. "Put your phone away, Elaine," Mrs. Garcia said loud enough for nearby guests to hear. "We've tolerated your behavior for years." "Not anymore." Mr. Washington joined them. 3 families before the Jacksons. All gone because you made them feel unwelcome. Shame on you. "I was simply concerned about property values," Elaine sputtered. "The noise was no different than your 4th of July parties," Mrs. Thompson interrupted. "The only difference was who was hosting." Elaine's face flushed red. She turned to leave but found her path blocked by more neighbors. Decades of unspoken tension bubbled to the surface. At the center of the green, Chief Rodriguez tapped a microphone. The crowd quieted. "I want to publicly apologize to the Jackson family," he announced. "Our department responded inappropriately to a call that should have been scrutinized more carefully. Beginning next month, all officers will undergo additional training on community relations and recognizing bias-motivated complaints." A cheer rose from the crowd. Marcus and Tanya exchanged glances of cautious hope. Later, as evening approached and the gathering continued under string lights, Zara nudged her father. "Look, Dad." Elaine Williams stood awkwardly by the dessert table, a plate in her hand. After a moment's hesitation, she approached Devin, who was serving his mother's peach cobbler. "May I try some?" she asked quietly. Devin glanced at his father. Marcus nodded slightly. "Sure," Devin said, serving her a generous portion. "It's my grandmother's recipe." It wasn't forgiveness, not yet. But it was a beginning. That night, as the Jacksons cleaned up their yard, Marcus paused to look at their house, now truly feeling like home. "One barbecue won't fix everything," Tanya said, reading his thoughts. "No," Marcus agreed. "But it's a taste of what justice might look like."